So it's good to be here in Bay Roberts on behalf of Minister Sohi, who would love to have been here, but he's actually in Quebec meeting with his counterparts, provincial counterparts, where they're discussing more opportunities. And I look forward to more opportunities for Newfoundland and Labrador coming out of those meetings as well. We have reached an agreement that will see new federal funding provided to municipalities in Newfoundland and Labrador to support water and wastewater infrastructure projects and public transit. This marks the fourth agreement that as a government we have signed on phase one of our long-term infrastructure plan, after signing one with British Columbia, the Yukon, and Quebec, and more are coming very shortly. But I was very anxious to get the one signed here in Newfoundland and Labrador and to be involved with Premier Ball in doing so, because it is only when these agreements are signed that money can flow. Our plan as a government is to invest more than $120 billion in infrastructure over the next 10 years, including $60 billion in new money for public transit, green, and social infrastructure. The Government of Canada recognizes that strong partnerships with all orders of government are needed to accomplish our shared goal of building strong, inclusive, and sustainable communities. A strong economy starts with a strong middle class. That is why we have cut taxes for nearly 9 million Canadians and introduced the new Canada Child Benefit, which will give 9 out of 10 families more in child benefits than what they currently receive. We have also reached an agreement on an enhanced Canada pension plan with provinces and territories. The Government of Canada's focus on the middle class and collaboration with partners extends into our infrastructure plan. Our plan will not only create good jobs and encourage sustained economic growth, but it will build communities where Canadians want to work, live, play, and raise families. We consulted and crafted our plan in response to the most urgent needs, laying the foundation to build infrastructure for tomorrow. Right now, we need to help with the infrastructure deficit our communities have been dealing with for decades. Overall, this agreement is making a total of $150 million available in Newfoundland and Labrador municipalities for water and wastewater infrastructure projects and public transit. We are providing, as a federal government, more than $70 million in federal funding to support water and wastewater infrastructure projects. We have already identified 142 projects for funding, and more are expected in the coming weeks. Projects like water and sewer system upgrades in the communities of Bay Roberts, Bay de Verde, Grand Falls, Windsor, Marystown, and structural water main improvements in St. John's. Each project will be unique to the needs of the community. What remains constant is the objective of economic growth for the middle class and those working hard to join it. These projects will help result in a cleaner environment and healthier communities by keeping our waterways clean and helping communities maintain reliable drinking water systems, like drinking water systems like planned for New Perlican and Gander Bay South. And I'm just identifying a few to give you some idea of the 142. Similar water and sewer upgrades will be funded in my colleague Yvonne Jones' riding in Labrador, in communities like Happy Valley Goose Bay, Labrador City, and the Inuit community in the Government of Nain. We are also providing support for projects that will increase the capacity, enhance the service, or improve the environmental outcomes of our public transit systems. In total, Newfoundland and Labrador's municipalities are getting nearly $5 million in federal funding to support projects like the transit system upgrades in St. John's, which will lead to improved accessibility on key bus routes within the city. This agreement is a new way of working in partnership with other levels of government to use infrastructure investments to make our communities stronger. We recognize that provinces and their municipalities are best suited to identify their priorities for funding. We will work together, relying on their expertise to quickly deliver targeted investments that help ensure existing infrastructure is well managed. We also recognize the need for openness and transparency. We know that it is important to report on progress so that Canadians can see their tax dollars at work. Progress reports for infrastructure projects in every community will be made available online so Canadians can see where federal support is provided and how projects are progressing. This agreement marks a critical step and makes infrastructure dollars available to communities in Newfoundland and Labrador, so projects that are not only shovel-ready but shovel-worthy can proceed without delay. We have made our funding retroactive to April 1st, 2016 to ensure a productive construction season. Today's announcement is part of the first phase of our National Infrastructure Plan. The first phase is providing a total of $3.4 billion to upgrade and improve public transit systems, $5 billion to support green infrastructure projects, and $3.4 billion for social infrastructure. That said, we know that there's more needed. We are actively consulting with municipal and provincial partners and Indigenous peoples, as well as various stakeholders, to develop our long-term plan. And we look forward to announcing phase 2 of our plan in the next year. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making this announcement possible and working with us in partnership to deliver on transit, on water waste systems, everything that we need to improve our infrastructure in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure for me to be here today with Honourable Judy Foote to talk about the important federal-provincial agreement, which, as she said, will make more than $150 million combined funding available to support municipal water and wastewater projects, as well as public transit infrastructure. There's been a lot of focus around clean water and the wastewater fund since it was announced by the federal government, not just in our province, but throughout the country. Even as we've been working through the details of the agreement that provides this funding, we are also talking to communities and identifying projects that are, as Judy said, shovel-ready. We wanted to hit the ground running and get working on these water and wastewater projects during this construction season, and that is exactly what we are doing. These projects are cost-shared between the federal and provincial governments and the recipient communities, and they're ready to go. With the federal government providing about $70 million, the province will invest $44 million, and the remainder will be covered by the various municipalities themselves. This means a lot of community infrastructure and a lot of jobs for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. The projects include everything from upgrades to aging water and sewer lines, to improvements to water treatment facilities, to the installation of artesian wells. As we've mentioned, I know Labrador, in some communities in Labrador, this is a focus for us, and many, many more. This is about providing more of our communities and more of our residents with a clean, safe, reliable supply of drinking water, but it is also about addressing health, safety, and environmental issues associated with wastewater systems. As an example, these projects include, as Judy mentioned, over 142 projects right now, projects for the sanitary sewer expansion in Bay de Verde, water and sewer upgrades in Clark's Beach, water pressure booster pump upgrades in Old Purlingham and Spaniards Bay. We see wastewater system upgrades, water and sewer system and lift station upgrades here in Bay Roberts. And these are just to name it a few of the 142 projects that are listed. So our government recognizes the importance of clean, safe, reliable drinking water, as well as the responsibility that we have when it comes to the disposal of wastewater. And the federal government, they recognize this too. And today, this announcement further demonstrates that by working together, we can really make a difference in Newfoundland and Labrador. The second funding program that was mentioned earlier under this agreement is, as Minister Foote stated, the Public Transit Infrastructure Fund, to which the federal government is contributing $4.9 million, and this is matched by the recipient municipalities, which in this case would be St. John's and Corner Brook. In fact, if you list the Small Communities Fund, the Provincial Territorial Investment component of the New Building Fund, New Canada Building Fund, along with our own municipal capital works, multi-year capital works programs, and now this clean water and wastewater programs, the public transit infrastructure program. There are literally hundreds of millions of dollars between municipal infrastructure projects going on in our province. Most of those announcements as a result of the hard work of both the province and the federal government working together. So even as we work our way through the fiscal challenges that we're facing in Newfoundland and Labrador, we are doing the necessary work for our residents and providing more employment, growing the economy, and making our communities a better place to live. So I want to thank Minister Foote, her colleagues, and her Minister Sohi in Quebec City today, my Minister of Municipal Affairs, Eddie Joyce, for all their efforts in getting the work done and moving these projects together forward on a timely manner. So thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to the questions. Thank you.